So here I am. I said I'd be back, and I am back. But I'm doing a recording instead of a streaming. It's classified differently. I don't know why YouTube does that, but yeah. I make these promises to myself, but I would say I make these promises to my viewers, but there aren't any. Um, I don't know how I succeed in being. I don't know, like whenever I pick like any random user on YouTube, let me just fuck it. Let me just go to watch. I'll show you. So okay, so if I do, let's just play this game. Here, I'm gonna click on the first recommended video. I don't really care what it is. I'm gonna go down here, not to these popular people, but just like any random person. Here's some random people. I'm curious. Not really anybody in particular. Nobody famous. I'm curious as to whether. What do we have here? So no videos, right? I remember this one. No videos, no videos, no videos, no videos. So I guess in general, people don't really make video. Oh, here, this person's made videos. The Unix guy. So 98 subscribers, 26 videos. That's about my numbers. That's about what I get. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of things with that. So, okay, I don't feel that bad. I was about to say, like, I think that maybe I have some kind of deeply unpopular somehow. And I don't think so. I think I'm just average. In that I'm part of the rabble, part of the noise, which is okay. Let me just see what else is going on here. Yeah, a lot of people, it looks like it's not very common to upload videos. I didn't realize how uncommon it was. I thought people were just using the platform. But as you can see right here, there's, look, this person's done a lot. What is this? The channel dedicated figure gaming from rules, design rules. So this person's doing some effort. Game system Napoleon. Wow. Wait a second. Like what is this? This person just a lot of videos on here actually, and not very popular. Like top views. Wow. Okay. So what is this? Half an hour. What is going on? What? BitChute. So BitChute is like a far right thing. Let's see what's going on over there. Maybe he's like a pro-Nazi guy. Let's see. All right, what is that? 270 views. PF model. Maybe it's this person. It's the same person. Same person. Do they actually get more views over here? But the same. And are they all like that? Like no microphone? Just weird diagrams? Yeah, BitChute is also like... What is going on? What the hell? What is going on? What's that? Was it Battleground World War II? This is a game? What on earth? I guess what you click, what you get when you just start clicking on random people, right? This person has a huge dedication. What is this? Is it just the same person over and over again? Let's just click on this one. Gary, no, there's some other people involved. I don't know. There's all these subgroups out. What? Oh, somebody's just playing with Blender? Is that what this is? Who are these people? That's kind of cool. That's nice. That's nice. And what's this one? Holographic stand. What? I didn't know this was a thing. And making. What? Stand. This is a product? I've never seen that before. It's totally a formal product. There's no question. And you're using this in order to control it. I mean, that's... Oh, is this person right here? And it's just their own tech. Oh, look, I see what it is. So it uses the same... There's this sort of really old holograph. Oh, technically it doesn't matter. Don't have to go over it. Anyway, so it looks like there's a bunch of these people. They just have random stuff. Like, let me just try like 5 more. I'm just curious. And they don't get into like real things. Guy Fawkes. No, just random personal videos. Okay. Oh, here's a person with a bunch of contributions. What is it? Oh, they're all in Spanish. Oh, weird. Anyway, so that was a waste of time. Isn't it fun? I had this thing. It's not here. I swear I put it on here. Did I put it on my other machine? I love doing that. I love fucking up the machines. Actually, can I get to my laptop from here? I can't. Did I misspell that? I didn't. Let's see. Let's go to here. Let me look at this. And it's going to be this, 10.9. This is H10.9. Is that going to still exist? It is. There's how. Ah, but it's not. It's from that I need to get in on. Nmap P22 10.00.1.255. All right. Here it is. We got, what's this one? Let's just start logging in. Yes, that's the right one. I got it the first time. Wow. Now, why didn't I... See, it's right there. Is that a misspelling? Wolfers.local, that's what this one is. Scale talk, less email. Oh. I think that preserved it. I bet you if I did scale talk and then this one, it's... Oh no, it's right there. What the fuck is that? How did that not come up? Anyway, who cares? So a couple nights ago, or last night, I was talking about how I found these posts that Linus has written, and I was like, oh, I actually found something better for a particular thing. So here's some articles, and the only way for you to actually be able to read this would be me to somehow like recrop this entire thing. Am I going to do that? Sure, why not? So I can like do, oh shit, but then I got to do both of these. Screw that. Sorry. It is what it is. I guess I could do site, email, and then do like this. Ooh, it's about the same, but now it's GUI. So anyway, Linux wants more. So there's these quotes that I want to use instead, because I realize that all of my Linux quotes, or except for the one from the code, are from the same October 5th, 1991 post. So I want to change that up, be a little bit more diverse. Let's give you some, yeah, this one. And, oh yeah, this is the John thing. He's a 1999. So let's just look at this. Oh, that's right. See, he was young. He was arguing with John for a long time. Persons like Coherent, because it works right out of the box, shouldn't try Linux. You have to install a lot of binaries and know a little bit about what you're doing. And even then, Linux is still not very mature, so you might find bugs. But for hackers that know what they're doing, can outlive with a 64K limit of Coherent. And you mean 640K, but it's okay. He's got typos. I mean, he was, what, like 22 when he wrote this? It's forgivable. Here it is. It's for hackers. He already said this more than once. So I think I've got, so he said McCoy once, a few times. There it is. After beating my breast, oh, it's also better at 386 also be, yes, Linux is better. Oh, yeah. This is it. This is what Minix is good for education, Coherent for simpler home use, Linux for hacking, 386 BSD for people who want the real McCoy. I could do that. Linux, September 1992. Then I'm going to do this. Then do this. And then I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have all those parentheticals. Minix is good for education. Coherent for simpler home use. Which again, that's a lower two part. That really supports the personal use thing. Linux for hacking, and 386 for people who simply want the real McCoy. Which is and then he said, I think did he say ignore more than once? No. He said, that's the same one. I don't need that one. And that's also October 91, so that's a bad thing to say. So oh my god, are you kidding? How do I go to the next one without... Do I really have to do that again and again? Are you fucking kidding me? Mark all. Here. Those are the only two. So, or a year earlier. Take that one out. Then I have that one. Because I do want those. I do want that in there. So let's just go through it all, like I said beforehand, and see if I can justify needing the software or start the consumer slide. So I guess the best way for me to do this at this new and improved resolution I've decided to expound upon is properties. Oh fuck, how am I going to do this then? Property, oh yeah, here it is. Properties, then, no, that isn't, oh well, yeah, it is, because this one is crop bottom 1200. You know what? No. Let's just do... Okay, so what I want is... Oh, here. 2160 across. And then I want 9 by 16 times 2160. 1215. But this stupid crop bottom option is... It has to be math from... I don't know why they do things like this. 3840 minus this. 2625. 625. Do okay. Then this one, delete. Yes. Then this one, expand. Then this one, go away. Then see if I have the XNest open, which I probably don't. I probably killed it. I know I did. Oh, it's already running. I know I did. It's right fucking here. No, no trust.xcf. That is a crashed version of the GIMP. Let's just kill that off. Oh, here. Oh, I killed off the Firefox inside. I remember taking some kind of action on this. Okay, so we're starting at 7. I mean, like, I don't even know why I care. Like, I know it's going to be under. But let's just do it anyway. Control R. Slideshow. Alright, so we're starting at 1747. And I am not going to have that yet. Oh, and the other thing I haven't done is... fuck it. Let's just go. 18. So my talk is on Linux and its microcomputer predecessors pre-1996, also known as Why Linux. If you find any mistakes, I built something for you to correct me. You'll also find the script I'm reading. This is a general talk, so here are some players for a 20th century journey if you haven't met them. Let's see if this works. Let's warm up the time machine. We all use Linux, even if we don't know it. Whenever you see a machine reboot at a grocery store, it's like, oh hey, there's that penguin again. Linux has arguably become the most ubiquitous operating system. How did that happen? The story usually given is an undergrad posted about his hobby project, and a bunch of people helped out. Wait, a college kid with a hobby project started a computer revolution by posting? That's absurd. What about these other things? They're only the Unix-ish ones. Oberon by Pascal's Nicholas Wirth is from 1987, and there were many others that didn't make the deck. But these did. Here's various commercial efforts. Some of these are complete systems, others are kernels. The lines are between the first and last release. The point is, Linus wasn't shouting out from the wilderness. There's a vibrant PC Unix ecosystem that predated him, an industry which hasn't had a lasting impact. Products such as Xenix and Coherent were hot stuff at one time, but now are the works of Ozymandias. Look on the timeline, ye mighty, and despair. That's because this guy, Genghis Khan the Unix War. There's only one commercial Unix without hardware attached to it still around, Xinuos UnixWare 7 Definitive 2018, which last release was actually 2017. And that's it. It's deader than dial-up. But Mr. Mackenzie, there's more to the story. What about the BSD lawsuit? Well, what about it? BSD has a history stretching back to 1976. The two names for our story are husband and wife team, Bill and Lynn Jolitz. Why didn't that win the Unix war? This is usually given, but it's not persuasive. BSD is much older, and in an interview with Bill Gillett in 1984, he said he was working on 386 BSD in 1986, even though only Net 1 and Net 2 were released in that interim. Also, there were 5 lawsuits that held up Linux in court for over a decade. Did that affect the development? Okay. Let's assume there was a 2-year hold in BSD. Then we should go over to, say, Usenet and see a fair amount of silence during that time. But in fact, we don't. This is just over 2 days. It was lively and vibrant. There's no evidence of any chilling effect. The highlighted posts are an update on the lawsuit amidst a bunch of articles talking about progress and bugs. Mapping out the velocity of Usenet articles and BSD groups to look for change correlated with this court case activity shows nothing of interest. However, there were a number of articles across Usenet with titles like Linux for 386 BSD, where people compare them. Many include minutiae such as specific hardware, but none talk about the lawsuit. Also, there's a first mover advantage theory where people write history from the first successful implementation and forget everything that came before. There were digital currencies before Bitcoin, MP3 players before iPod, and social media before Facebook. Linux's timing was favorable, but there's more to success than that. So we have to reject this hypothesis that BSD was held back because there is no contemporaneous evidence. Tell me how wrong I am. Go to the URL and denounce me at your leisure. Regardless, Linux has become a few orders of magnitude more prevalent than BSD and killed commercial Unix. How? Here's 2 possibilities, the Great Man Theory and a social history. The second is harder. Let's try the first. It looks easy. It says that some glorious thing happened, but you can't do it because you don't have the right genes. Unfortunately, that isn't very useful unless you enjoyed sulking about things you consider flops, but you're all rock stars, right? So what about the second? Using syllogisms, mere mortals did this, we are mere mortals, therefore we can do this, but only if we know how. The first is a much shorter speech, a Carlyle-style hero worship about great men should rule and others should revere them, a gushing mystical biopic. However, we've got a much harder job. And to do that, we must have defendable and falsifiable hypotheses. But here's more jargon. Perhaps, Linux was the second act of the personal computer revolution, personal software on personal hardware. If the center will not hold, things fall apart, and mere anarchy is loose upon the world, we might as well make it productive and get some nice software out of it. Maybe if Unix needed a pool of hackers to build on cheap computers with a robust communication network and avoid bad actors taking advantage of their generosity. Maybe. There's also the maybe nots, that falsifiable thing. Number 1, Unix was thought to be really complicated. Actually, it was seen as quite elegant and simple. Unix source license was $200,000 in the 1980s, so of course it was complicated and magical, but that was marketing. Even 386 BSD, 20 years into Unix, was done by the Jolitzes, the husband and wife team. Just 2 people. Number 2, community-based programs were thought impossible. There's an organization called Share who came up with a Share operating system in the late 1950s, which was community developed. Share was eventually structured closer to a buyer's cooperative. To see how it worked around the birth of Unix, let's go to Computer World in 1968. During the past 4 months, Share has been working with IBM to define changes needed by users. When the company responded, 12 out of 13 requests had been turned down. Well, IBM, look at what happens to you when you ignore the users. Oh yeah, Share was Los Angeles based, so LA Pride. Speaking of things that happened 40 years ago, this is ancient history. Although Unix started in 1969, the first paper was 5 years later. Here's 4 principles extracted from it that will be useful for our journey. Leverage, don't invent. Doing beats planning. Needs, not desires. Use early. Use often. Although each one of these has its flaws, together they form a cohesion, even a synergy, if you will. Unix was designed for a class of computers that died out called mini-computers. They were about an order of magnitude or 2 cheaper than mainframes, and also less capable, well, at first. People wanted to solve their tasks on cheaper machines because that's all they had access to. Roughly every decade, a new lower-priced computer class forms based on a new programming platform, network, and interface resulting in new usage and a new industry. That's Bell's Law, and it's from 1972. As mini-computers came on the market and became more powerful, Unix was there to leverage them to service people's needs. These new machines provide a new context for new software. These needs are only meant as examples. The point is the velocity of computer progress went faster than people's needs. Apparently, computer performance increases as a square of the cost, and transistors per chip doubled every 18 months. These are called Grosh's Law and Moore's Law. Together, it meant the industry eventually ate itself through a multi-decade-long digestion. However, when new things come in, the people who get there early don't get there easy. It's okay, though. Some of us are crazy and prefer it. AT&T was under many legal restrictions, and because of that, Unix was initially distributed as if it came out of the back of an unmarked white van. The mantra was part of the presentation deck for early Unix, saying you're on your own. Think of the adventure, the excitement. But who are you catering to with such a message? What will their behavior guide things? It's not about welcoming everybody doing anything. With any of these efforts, you have to ask yourself who you're bringing to the door and what kind of behavior you're expecting. That's what separates a library from a soccer field. For example, Linus, September 1992. Minix is good for education, Go Ham for simpler home use, Linux for hacking, and 386 for people who want the real McCoy, or a year earlier. You also need to be something of a hacker to set it up. For those hoping for an alternative to Minix 386, please ignore me. It is currently meant for hackers interested in operating systems and 386s with access to Minix. Maintaining focus is about intentionally, not incidentally, but actually intentionally choosing what to ignore. You have to be a clear signal amongst our noisy world. Because you had to know what you were doing, Unix was initially introduced through engineering and technical people and not through conventional decision makers. But it worked. And by the 80s, Unix was mainstream. As both the consumers and producers of Unix multiplied, the suppliers differentiated themselves, succumbing to the trappings of usual competitive markets by enclosing the commons, trying to take ownership of groups and commonly held things by setting up barriers, thus locking them in and growing their base by trying to be special, which led to fragmentation. Unix had infected everything from workstations to mainframes. Unisys, one of the mainframe makers, had an article in September 1987 issue of Computer World predicting a tripling of Unix sales in that year. The problem with the infighting goes back to the chart with various blobs about computer classes. The threat is almost always coming from below. In this case, it was Microsoft and microcomputers, and not Nixdorf Cynix on an NS32000 versus clicks on an Intergraph into Pro. In 1985, Microsoft argued that Unix, which had an install base of 100,000, would be a multi-user version of DOS. In 1987, they didn't see it competing with their plans for OS/2, which at the time was seen as successor to Windows 1.0. Things changed, specifically that December with the introduction of Windows 2.0 and later with Windows for Workgroup and NT. That was the real threat. Anyway, Xenix required 12 360K floppies, which was seen as bonkers. A 32GB micro SD card is about 92,000 floppies, 190 meters stacked end to end. That's like a 2.5 minute walk. All that storage is now in the size of your thumbnail and costs as much as a taco on the west side. Anyway, software distribution used to suck. Speaking of Microsoft, that punch tape is how they distributed BASIC for the Altair in the 1970s. It took about 20 minutes to load, and it wasn't stored on disk because the Altair didn't have one. Just keep the computer on if you want to use the software. The lower right is called a type-in program. Software distributed like this has multiple pages of hexadecimal. No, really, this is MLX format. They published listings like this every month for years. You typed it in. There was no electronic reader. There's some basic code on the first page, and it's not easy either. The QR code is the game running on an emulator in your browser. You can scan it and just tap on your phone. No typing required. Anyone want to scan it? Give it a try. You could only use the software you had access to. There were also software user groups, which were convenient for the 1 in 20 people who lived near one. But foremost, software meant retail, mail order, or copying a floppy from a friend. The bottom two methods had consumer overhead. For dial-up, you usually had to pay an expensive phone bill, and for internet, you probably didn't have it. 2400 BPS access to Genie in 1989, for instance, was $42 an hour, and that's how long it takes to get a megabyte over 2400 BPS. This means that most people were only exposed to the top three groups, and it was difficult for smaller developers and non-commercial ones to get their solutions to the software to the masses. Paraphrasing, Marketing High Technology, Bill Davidow, 1986. It's not a product without a distribution channel, or in Linux's case, a distribution. The technology may have the potential to address the needs of many, but without specialist read distributors. To put it in the hands of those customers, it will not succeed. Products are sold through distribution, not to distribution. Let's jump forward to the why Linux question here for a bit while this diagram is up. Linux had high accessibility of the install media. March 1993, Unix World listed FTPs, repos, BBS numbers, and companies you can mail order Linux from. Later, you could find Linux at coffee shops, libraries, and attached to magazines at the grocery store. Filling up a Linux CD with a Linux distro and cribbing some how-tos was cheap content for a magazine who just wanted to get an issue out. But let's go back to the problems. Depending on the distribution channel, updates had different logistic complexities, especially when considering updates from outsiders. For instance, if you wanted to update the retail Lotus 123 and have your changes appear on the shelf at Circuit City, you'd probably have to do it yourself and get arrested. It would have been fun though. Once there were online networks with the storage and communication necessary to unlock multiplayer online mode for the software development game, a new way to write software was created. Yaki Benkler described this as common-based peer production in his book, The Wealth of Networks. Let's go to Linux, 1991. I've enjoyed doing it, and someone may enjoy looking at it and even modifying it for their own needs. It's still small enough to understand, use, and modify, and I'm looking forward to any comments you might have. I'd like to hear from you so I can add your software to the system. Adding Minix things to Linux is fine, but how do you contributions and updates work? Unless you can answer these questions clearly, progress will be slow, infrequent, and inefficient. Everyone has to agree on the terms and feel welcome, otherwise they don't come around here no more. So GNU made a Rooseveltian list of 4 software freedoms to define free software, but it's not just license, it's organization plus license. For our purposes, we're going to talk about horizontalizing software development. That's what's labeled adoptive on this chart. Essentially, how easy is it for modifications to be integrated and in the same distribution channels, and other people to become a distributor or to share your product. You need a legal structure and organizational structure that affords this, an open shop that permits anybody to come in. Eric Raymond spoke to this in The Cathedral and the Bazaar. In the Cathedral model, which is tall, source code is available, but development is restricted to an exclusive group. Contrast this with the Bazaar model, which is flat, in which the code is developed over the internet in view of the public. The vertical lines here, from permissive to restrictive, is a general continuum. Public domain is seen as too permissive in the eyes of GNU because you can relicense and reprivatize things. I have also read that copyleft and GPL are different from each other, but I never went to law school. If you zoom in, you'll see non-computer things. Let's go over a few. Bottom right is facts. People ought to be really hesitant to modify facts, and they're public domain. Above that, you have most religions. Anybody can preach the good word and start a congregation, but at least in principle, the texts are sacred. As we go up, we'll get jokes, recipes, human language, and at the top is folklore, which changes readily. As you move to the left of public domain, you get Wikipedia, which anyone can edit. And the restrictive adopted side is social media. Anyone can contribute, but the platform retains a bunch of rights. Classic commercial software is down in the hesitant and restrictive camp. The pink stuff is all Linux related. Minix is down next to freeware and GCC in the hesitant category, below the pool label Unixes. Except for social media and Wikipedia, all of this is early 1990s, not 2024 accurate. Speaking of the past, let's go to the introduction of Minix. In 1986, commons-based peer production wasn't feasible. People didn't have the internet in their pockets like you do. Because of the prohibitive logistics around software distribution updates, especially customer-initiated, Minix could only be a cathedral. Also, it was a product of Princess Hall, who wanted to sell textbooks and instruction material for Tannenbaum. So here's the relevant part of the announcement. It's not public domain. However, the publisher does not object to people making copies for friends. This is SneakerNet. If you want to sell it, which is the 2 categories above SneakerNet, retail and mail order, you need permission. In his book, you will find a postcard that you can use to order the software. There's our mail order again, and he says he doesn't want to copy a bunch of floppies, as in do SneakerNet. Now Minix was adjacent to GCC. What's up with that? GNU was also a cathedral. Here's an example from an early GNU bulletin. 1987, we can see it listing out different distribution channels as they solicited funds to pay programmers to write more software, like a software engineering firm. They played a second role as a provider of copyleft and eventually software under the GPL when it came out a few years later. Every bulletin had a growing list of software by others that you could order. You could get Net2 BSD and the BSD 4.4 Lite from them until 1995 because Linux came from below and GNU got distributed like everybody else. Then GNU started backing a Linux distribution which ended up breaking up with them, called Debian. As far as distributing free stuff goes, there's precedents such as this one from 1976 trying to be a repository for public domain software from smaller producers such as code published in, say, Dr. Dobbs Journal. Some assembly programs ran over 40 pages long in that publication, and that you, of course, were expected to type in yourself. So people were looking for a more reasonable solution that didn't cost much, but not all the pieces were there yet. All of these things require labor, coordination, and resources. How we instrument those lets some things get done better faster. Ideas are bizarre even when their implementations are cathedrals. For instance, there were many graphical desktop computers even though each one was a proprietary restrictive project. The superstructures of desktop computers operated in the adoptive space. Pretend we have a concept of a free operating system. We may not get all the parts right the first time, but the Platonic ideal exists. Well, kind of. It's as much a contemporaneous invention as anything else, as a pale true thought suspended in our life stream. We can go back to the Vannevar Bush's Memics article, as we may think, in The Atlantic from 1945, to see the spirit of what we now call many things. Unlike products, Platonic ideals are collective projects owned by nobody. They are permissive and adoptive and not static abstractions divorced from human influence. They are ideas manifested from context. The map is not the territory. In our industry, we're tasked with creating both through pure thought stuff. What a responsibility. We better get organized. This is about the complexities of building software and not about electing people. You may have heard that commercial software began with Bill Gates' open letter to computer hobbyists in 1976 when he announced SneakerNet distribution of Altair Basic because he didn't get paid for each of the copies. That's not really where commercial software begins. In the mid-1950s, software was either in-house, coupled with hardware, or contract-based, as you can see in this 1959 ad for a programmer from Punch Card Data Processing. But the version of commercial software that has products for a computer you already own has existed since at least 1960. No, really. There's another falsifiable thing. Bruce Perrin's chapter on open sources, Stephen Levy and hackers, they all allude to a Garden of Eden in the past, from which we have fallen, where all software was free. Really? Well, no. Here, 1966, claiming commercial software was a $100 million industry. And then in 1969, 11 companies worth at least $100 million each got together to form a trade group. How hardware vendors bundled the software to lock in their customers like Microsoft did with the Internet Explorer. It was as free as Windows is on a retail laptop. People were trying to DRM and patent software back in the 1960s, and more than one succeeded. Maybe there was some idyllic Valhalla in the bubble known as MIT Artificial Intelligence Lab, but the real world was up to the same tricks they are now. Anyway, debundling happened in 1968 and 69, vendor by vendor, and Unix arose from the primordial soup and is one of the oldest non-mainframe software that is still recognizable today. Recognizable because the family tree looks like a European dynasty. This Unix timeline covers a few years in the late 80s. Zooming in, you'd see Minix, MIT Trix, SunOS, Mach, Xenix from the House of Free Software or AT&T or the Kingdom of Microsoft. I'm still not a lawyer, but this is really confusing. Not only did the source and binary here have different terms, but sometimes only certain organizations had access to them. For instance, if you're an educational institution with a pre-existing AT&T license, then you had access to BSD, I think. So a version might have multiple parents, each with a different term sheet. It's a legal Habsburg. That's why a few slides ago, there was a puddle labeled Unixes. Even the Unix term itself is confusing. Raise your hand if you still think it's copyrighted by AT&T. No. 31 years ago, AT&T's USL sold the copyright to Novell, who then donated it to the Open Group, which is now a standards organization. Some Linuxes have gone through that process, so Linux is now a Unix. Really, you're just finding this out right now. This stuff is absurd. We need something with clean documented history, a clear license, and easy answers to all these problems. So, Linux and effectively all modern open source software projects have this solved. All development is open. The history is well archived, and OSI approved licenses solve the family tree problems. The structure that's now ubiquitous is one of Linux's major contributions. Also, let's talk about the internal politics of building software. In the Abstract Penguin slide, we covered the outside aspirational curve, where things take decades and opinions are strong in many. Things like paradigmatic ways of doing open source development took 20 years to dominate because of longevity and application of more abstract solutions is also let's just change this. What do you mean, suggesting? Why can't I be fucking logged in? Okay. Applicability. Because longevity and application of more is on the same time frame as their implementations. What was that thing that I just did? Was that just... I don't know what that was. Anyway. Okay. Where was I? But within that exists lower level Maslowian motivations, and keeping things there make them more actionable. That's what I need to do. Keeping things there, making them more, Let's say your network card isn't sending out packets. We can say this bug is known, agreed upon, and demonstrable, so although it may not be easy, the layer path is traversable. Now a new network card comes out, you need it to work on Linux. That's a need. You can demonstrate and come to agreement on what that would look like. Now pretend you want that card to do something it wasn't designed to do. That's harder to demonstrate and agree upon. Let's pretend You want that network card. Let's try it. You want that network card. Oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? What the hell was that? No, I want the things I type in. No, do not. Oh my god. So, you know how a few days ago I talked about how keys sometimes get stuck? Oh, you know what it is? It's this thing. I'd put the tablet on top of this, and I started pressing things, and I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, let's just get back to this. All right. Whatever. What the hell is I doing? Yeah, that's hard to demonstrate and agree upon. To get that actionable, you need to pull the desire into a lower curve so that a development cycle can encompass it. It's worth noting the Tannenbaum-Torvalds debate from 1992. To illustrate this, Tannenbaum chastised Torvalds' approach because it wasn't a microkernel and Linux was exclusive to the 386. Really, Linux was in these lower curves, and Tannenbaum was trying to pull it up to the higher curves where things move far slower. That's where all the hot research always is. I misspelled always. That's where all the hot research always is. People trying to make these higher level concepts more real. GNU heard as a microkernel approach. Stallman claimed in the early 2000s that's why it was taking so long and wasn't very stable. The higher level curves are unlikely to succeed except as a superstructure of the lower level functions in the same way their asymmetric approach to Platonic ideals happens on the back of incrementally more appropriate implementations, which is why you can snake a line from the 1950s IBM share organization to GitHub. Through the process of clarifying these aspirations, they get moved to concrete because they become material needs and bug problems. The clarity of their present stands in both the triumph and the records of the past. Here is, what the hell? Go down. Okay. Here's both an article and advertisement from May 1990. Sun says that they have a cheap $6,700 computer. Here's a PC at about 1/10 that cost, which is fine if you can do some of the same things. In fact, you know what I want to do? So when people say, so up here, when I'm doing, what the fuck is that? Are you kidding me? Oh, come on. Why do you not work? This is bullshit. Okay. Now you work. What the fuck was that? Anyway, these things are so distracting. These stupid fucking bugs. Oh yeah. So when I said this is number 46. This one. I was talking about microkernels. Now, the proper response, if I was a picky nerd, and I'd be like, yeah, but what about the XNU microkernel based on Mach? Here it is, XNU. X is not Unix, which is what the Mac OS is based upon. And properly, you could say that it goes back to here. There is ostensibly, you can still get it right here, you see. Yeah. And it was initially developed by Next for the next step, but then there's something called Taligent. Oh, Control F, Taligent. Oh, come on. Apple, Taligent. Here it is. So yeah, the pink operating system conceived by Apple here. So essentially, it was for workplace. I believe that Telegen is related to XNU. We'll just go XNU. No, isn't there some mock? I thought there was a mock. Yeah, there is. Intelligent OS. It's a mock OS. So, OS. I knew that. And they were working on another mock variation. Here. Right. Because it didn't happen. So, intelligence very nature change. Yeah, right. So it says here. Intelligent OS was eventually canceled. And that was a mock-based microkernel. That's it. Here it is. So, yeah, workplace. But it never went out with different personalities. So, essentially, you could say I could do another knock on that thing. I mean, that's the obvious critique at that point. Is where the fuck did that thing go? Why is this? Oh yeah, there's. Oh my god. Oh my god. The one that I wanted to actually do. No. What the hell is that? Fuck off. Alright, so what I wanted to do is. Where did is it over here now? Where did it go? Jesus fucking Christ. I hate all of this. I hate computers. Microkernel says, yeah, here's what I want to do. I could say, but, Swaying Snake, IBM, or in the case of microkernels, Mach 3 to workplace to next step to workplace OS to intelligent OS to next step to open step to workplace OS to intelligent OS to workplace intelligent and eventually Aqua. Xenu and eventually Aqua. clarity of the present stands both the triumph and records of the past, which is true because it's like all of these things were vaporware. Right. So, yeah, but Workplace OS never happened, right? I don't think that ever came out. OSF1 is a microkernel, which is an interesting one. Right. It never came out. I could just throw that in there. Pink. Now what? OpenStep. When was that released? 94. And oh, it's not. So OpenStep is something on top of it. It's not the actual operating system. As a standard. Here it is. NextStep is an operating system. OpenStep is an API. OpenStep does not require the mock kernel. Right. Okay, let's try to get this shit right. So we can say let's just go to Z. This goes this shit. There's also a fuchsia, Apple fuchsia. That was another thing. If I can spell fuchsia right. No. Apple Fuchsia OS. Here it is. What? Wasn't there another one? There was like, there's a bunch of colors. I thought there was a fuchsia from Apple. What about Apple? We have pink. No. You have Taligent. You've got NextStep. You've got... Wasn't Lights also done by Apple somebody? Oh, no. No, it wasn't. Workplace. What was Spring? That's right. Spring was out of that thing. Then you have Xenu, which is this. Mm-hmm. And eventually, Xenu. For example, I should say, NextStep was built on mock as was Pink, Workplace was Taligent, and eventually Xenu, which was part monolithic. So what I want to say is something like, I would say, yeah, so you can say Mac OS, which is 1990. Oh, hold on, when is Xenu released? Does it have it? 1996. Yeah, but I don't believe that. So 2001. And then you could say which is part monolithic. I know I'm killing my time right now. That's okay. This is important. The Mach 3 microkernel led to next step. Pink, Workplace OS, Intelligent, Apple Pink OS. Let me add Pink. 1988 actually. Pink, next step. Workplace, Intelligent, and eventually XNU, which is part monolithic. I could say that's 13 years. A few companies with hundreds of employees. That took 13 years. It came at the cost of 13 years and a few companies with hundreds of employees. I could say that. "13 years, a few companies, hundreds, and countless billions of dollars." Which is now the basis for Mac OS. And is now. Oh, it burned through 13 years, multiple companies, and many billions of dollars. Then I want to do one more comment about that. Something like, I should say. It's something about it being easy. So I wanted to do something like both the transmitter, for example, with the pink another base of Mac OS. It burned through 13 years, multiple companies, and many billions of dollars. I want to say. But everything has a cost. I should say. But as a cynic, I tend to know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. Oh, speaking of costs. Yeah, I got Oscar Wilde back in. I like that. All right. Let me see how this thing worked. All right. I wish I could just reset this. Let's just try this again. You know, I'm supposed to be doing this in... Oh, no, it's Tuesday. It's fine. Wednesday, Thursday. It's 4 days. Yeah. Let's try this. Oh, yeah. This is Korean tea. That's why this tastes so strange. This is a new thing I just bought, like, from K-Town. So, let's just do the entire slide again. Fuck it. Let's see if this thing updates. Somehow, it wasn't in edit mode. It was in, like, you know, the I am great mode. Hold on. It's 46. One where you assume that, like, it should all be wikis. Come on. No. Can you, for the love of God, just update yourself? Why can you not see this? Suggesting only. I don't want to suggest. I want to... 46. Ah, all right, here it is. All right, let's back up and try this again. So we're going to say, let's just start here. GNU heard is a microkernel approach. Stallman claimed in the early 2000s that's why it was taking so long and wasn't very stable. The higher level curves are unlikely to succeed except as superstructures of lower level functions in the same way that our asymmetric approach to Platonic ideals happens in the back of incrementally more approachable implementations, which is why you can snake a line from the 1950s IBM share organization to GitHub. Through that process of clarifying the aspirations, they get moved to the concrete because they become material needs and bug problems. The clarity of the present stands on both the triumph and records of the past. For example, the Mach 3 microkernel led to Pink, Netscape, Workplace OS, Taligent, and eventually XNU, which is part monolithic and is now the basis for Mac OS. It burned through 13 years, multiple companies, and many billions of dollars. To get there. I should say, to get there, that curve burned through 13 years, multiple companies, and billions of dollars. But as a cynic, I attend to the cost of everything and the value of nothing. Oh, speaking of costs. The prices. I should announce the chapter every time.
Here's both an article and an advertisement from May 1990. Sun says they have a cheap $6,700 computer. Here's a PC at about 1/10 the cost, which is fine if you can do some of the same things. Historically, that answer had been no, but referring back to the chart with needs in computing classes, this dynamic was likely to change soon, especially since the 386 had technical features which made running Unix-style operating systems more practical. But that's not the only kind of price there is. There's also the price of time. This is a conceptual and not a quantitative graph. Essentially, Windows is the easiest to get up and running, but let's say you want to do something like convert a bunch of files, sort the contents, pick a field, extract the values, do some operations on them. These things will get hard quickly. Early on, the BSDs were a pain to set up, but they had networking before Linux. They were more professional. However, there were fewer people working on it who tended to be more experienced, so they were busy and expensive. Linux was mostly students, which are famously cheap. Linux was also heavy hobbyist-oriented, which usually meant the systems were more hackable, while the other Unixes, they presumed you had something important to do. The more difficult and time-consuming it is for a customer to use an information system, the less likely it is that they will use an information system. That's Calvin Moore's 1959. As the complexity of problems become more intractable, the approachability of the lower levels and internals of a system become increasingly important, because people tend to use the most convenient method and the least exacting mode available and stop as soon as minimally acceptable results are found. That's the principle of least effort. Hackers tend to build worlds where everything is possible, but nothing of interest is easy. Alan Perlis called this the Turing tar pit in 1982. Pulling yourself out of the tar pit from a capable to a usable system requires some engines to push it forward. Commons-based peer production can also be seen as prosumer, a producer and a consumer put together. It's used often for social media, where you're consuming other consumers' productions. Here, our engine is problem-solution integration, which keeps us on the bugs needs development cycle. With the Bazaar method of development, the changes reflect back quickly, which means that new users have fewer problems with their different hardware, so that for other people with, say, your network card, it will just work. But where do you find the people to do that? Well, you build armies, of course. Large networks are important. Their utility scales quickly with the size of the networks because the combinations of groups grow faster than the utility of the groups that joined it. That's Reed's law. For example, we start using Linux. You have a network card that doesn't work. You now join the subgroup of people becoming a we that needs that card to work. This only becomes an engine if we have the right people to complete the cycle we talked about. The first level here are the enthusiast developers and bug fixers, followed by the curious and hobbyists, and then the business needs, and finally people that can't have things fail. Arguably, one of the failings of early BSDs is that they were too lopsided on the upper steps and couldn't get their virtuous cycle moving with enough velocity. Analyzing email addresses of about 2.5 million Usenet posts over a 2-year period, there were almost always more commercial emails for BSD and more educational ones for Linux. So even though the general trend was ascending the staircase, Linux had more torque from the bottom groups. I call this the Linuxist revolutionary theory. The hacker vanguard forms a coalition with the personal computer proletariat, and a business-oriented bourgeoisie becomes interested, and finally prohibitively assiduous aristocracy is able to use it. There is one last type of price, and that is that of expertise. Whether it's your own or you're fronting some cash, is expensive. You could roughly assign a utility function as the capabilities divided by the effort required. Sometimes both capabilities and effort increase over time. Blender, for instance, is highly capable software, but also takes a lot of experience to use effectively. Many mobile and web apps, on the other hand, actually remove power features over time to make the product require less effort while also making it less capable. Still, other software frameworks, for example, get Fredbrook's second system, a new version that's more difficult to use and leads to inferior results, thus becoming an inversion of the graph and decreasing utility of the product. Let's talk about the multiple arrows. In order to get a larger user base, you need a diversity of capabilities requiring a diversity of efforts. Linux was able to achieve this by outsourcing the actual packaging of the OS through distributions. This is another insight about the Bazaar software model. Since the entire structure is more flat and structural organization and barriers are mostly removed, as markets naturally subdivide and form, they can be quickly and readily addressed. Because we're doing social history, let's use critical theory theorist Marcuse's idea of de-radicalization. The dominant structures say markets subsume the novel. However, because in Bazaars people can self-organize, they beat it to the punch and move faster than a market force, which is why open source decoupled structures are more dynamic and swift-footed than commercial approaches, usually. Here's a chart from Innovator's Dilemma describing different strategies that can be taken as technologies get better. You can push up market to higher end consumers, or you can stay with your existing customers. However, because of the horizontal development of Linux and the existence of distributors run by multiple organizations, it was able to do multiple strategies at once. Not only these, but any other ones that haven't been left out of the graft. The packets. A few slides ago, we saw how Linux has a horizontalist, bizarre approach to software internally. Let's look at the implications of this externally. This chart is taken from Andy Grove's 1995 text, Only a Paranoid Survive, describing how the industry moved from one-stop shop verticals to a horizontal structure. If we put this in the aspirational space, it can be viewed as part of the same decoupling superstructures as what the mainframes were doing in the late 1960s. The premise of the transition was a book called The Coming Computer Industry Shakedown by Stephen McClellan in 1984, quoting, "As software gains ascendancy, the key word will no longer be customization, specialization, and market niche. The new world will be integration. System integration will be the most sophisticated and difficult task computer companies will have to undertake." That quote, being 40 years old, gives us the privilege of seeing what happened. Essentially, 4 strategies were developed to tackle this problem. The first is to impose on the vertical by claiming you're the standard, but in practice, only one player can do that, so OS/2 died. Apple took a different route by being its own vertical, while Linux had to push the wheel out of the tar pit and needed enough people to do it. Luckily, timing was on their side. Is it too far over? No, it's fine. Although I could probably move it just a tad. Like here. All right. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. When the internet was mostly accessed at universities, September annually brought in a flood of new people that had to be coached. As residential internet grew, the old guard termed 1993 as the eternal absence of September, the beginning of the mainstreaming of internet access. For this to happen, cheaper ISPs and web servers needed to exist quickly to support users, and Linux was there to provide. It's important to note that Linux was prima facie hobbyist and personal use oriented at this time. Even though Linux Journal has articles in 1994 about it as web server and running ISPs. Contemporary texts such as Linux Getting Started, Unleashing the Workstation in Your PC, or Plug and Play Linux were in the lower 2 steps of our staircase, hobbyist and personal. The early Slackware, MCC, and SLS distros from that time period also didn't include web servers or tools to run a business. The first people in the new use cases didn't get there with clean off-the-shelf solutions. They played the scout role, clearing the road for the army to roll in, which is why the web server book in 1995 now includes Linux. Another benefactor of the eternal September is attributed to Linus's law. Given enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow. Let's look at the various eyeballs. The first term slide claimed that Linux was mostly built by college students. Here's some evidence. After releasing in October, Linus got some help from a local friend, but by November he had contributions from Hong Kong, MIT, and University of Utah. In December, contributions came in from Calgary and Berkeley, and then Colorado and Maryland students contributed in January. So far, everyone is under 25, and there becomes an increasingly pressing need for Linux to solve new problems. No. I misspelled something. Slide number 60. What? 59. As there becomes, yes. Up here. Dirty mutable. I like that name. And these needs more or less persist to this day. I would say these, not those. That's a better phrasing. Apple's vertical, Microsoft's entitled, and Linux continues to climb stairs that have yet to be drawn. Here's a quote by Torvalds. "I think the timing was good. Even just a year earlier, I don't think it could have been done. And a year later, someone else would have done similar." The 2 bottom charts show how Linux now dominates the supercomputer and web server space. How's everybody doing? Are you still awake? Yes, that's typed on the sheet, as is this. This is long, so let's have some fun. If there was a storefront named open source, what would be displayed in the windows? In fact, let's do some interactive theater. We are a group of people in 1995 trying to bring free software to the masses. Our marketing director just told us about the marketing mix with the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. In order to have a figurehead for the free software movement, we need to find a piece of free software that qualifies these conditions. It should be easy to use, acquire, and understand. It should have a low price of time, money, and expertise. I appreciate the suggestions so far. These are all excellent examples of free software. I especially like the elevator pitch for Emacs org mode. Before we settle on a project, I'm wondering if we've left anything out. Any suggestions from the audience? Oh yes, you, sir, the man who I've known for over a decade. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe Linux can be the window dressing of the free software movement. Or how about this? I have a better idea. Let's make an alt copyright pipeline. We have low effort things for curious PC users to try. Then we tell them the beliefs of our community and get them to up their commitments. As they do, they'll become more familiar with projects which take effort and expertise. I want to do as they do. I don't like that. I've heard this so many times, and I'm sick of hearing as they do. So let's change that. Let's make it. You have. Then they'll become more. That's even funnier. Then they'll become more familiar with projects which take effort and expertise, get more involved, and be an advocate. And become an advocate. Some of them will report bugs, determine needs, and implement desires. Okay, let's try this one again. So let's make an alt copyright pipeline. We have low effort things for curious PC users to try. Then we tell them the beliefs of our community and get them to up their commitments. They'll become more familiar with projects which take effort and expertise, get more involved, and become an advocate. Over time, some of them will report bugs, determine needs, and implement desires to move our aspirational project forward to make it more tangible. Over time, some of them will report bugs, help determine needs, and implement desires to move our aspirational project forward and make it more tangible. In order to do this, we must be a welcoming community by necessity, but also because we brought in the right people. I like the idea of this being a cult. And hold on, let's do a joke in here. List of cults. Was Kool-Aid, right? But it wasn't Kool-Aid, and geeks are going to take that to offense. I know, list of most famous cults. Of course, People's Temple. Right. People's Temple, the Manson family, Heaven's Gate, the Branch Davidians. So, what would I want to say here? Let's make an all-cut. We have low effort things. Then we tell them. Then we gently tell them the beliefs of our community and suggest they up their commitments. And that we value and encourage them. To up their commitments. They'll become more familiar with projects with stage of effort and expertise, get more involved, and become an advocate. Over time, some of them will report bugs, help determine needs, and implement desires to move our aspirational project forward and make it more tangible. In order to do this, we must be a welcoming community. We brought in the right people. I want, so we have these 4. These terrible cults. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, come on. Don't do Mormons. I'm not going to do that. That's way too controversial. Unification Church. Yeah, but that's I'm not going to do that. That you could consider that to be racist. I'm not going to jump over. Oh my god, fuck off. I don't want to sign up for your fucking mailing list. We want to say okay, so yeah, this is what we want. This is what we want. We want this. People's Temple. People's Temple. But a parody of People's Temple would not work because it's too deep of a cut. All these things are too deep of a cut. Like, I could say something like, well, what words do we have? We have like tux. We've got open source. We've got, like ChatGPT has too many guardrails these days. It's not gonna allow me to do this. Let me see. Hi. I'm trying to make an off-color joke for a presentation that I can say that for a presentation about open source, about Linux, open source development, where I do a cheeky play on words of a cult or some kind of well-known symbolism therein. Something like drink the Kool-Aid is way too overplayed. I want something a little creative. Fuck that. It's clearly written by AI. Not exactly. For instance, if you could make a parody of the words Heaven's Gate or Manson family and make it a pun related to Linux. That's not bad. Make a list of possibilities. Colonel's Gate. No. It's still, it can only, like, if you ask it to try to be funny, like, it can't. It can only be funny if you, like, tell it not to be funny. And then it's like, well, okay. And then it comes up with the most absurd things. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, try that again, but try not to be funny. Just tell it. Make your suggestions under 5 words. Fuck. Reference cults. No. Like Manson family and People's Temple. The GNU commune. That's not terrible. Peoples. Yeah, I like that. I mean, like, it's not terrible. I would like to say, what are some synonyms for the word people in this context? No. I would say, the Branch Davidians. Hell's Gate. Like a good comedian, they can do this like you can call them I don't know, I'll think about it. I like the idea. It, maybe it's something like what could I do? All right, let's just put it in there. So, reference occult. So that's how it happened. Oh, wait a second. How do you do it again? Where am I at? Oh, this might actually become the longest one. Longer than a coding one. That'd be crazy. Let's just try this. The final boss. Blue Oyster Cult. What about a popular bands or movies with the word cult in the name, such as Blue Oyster Cult? Can you think of more? No. Okay. Oh, what about ones that are not horror or criminal? Fuck N.A. What about bands? Oh, the cult, right. Right. Isn't the cult like a... Oh yeah, brought in the right people. You can join the cult. Album cover. No, I don't think the cult was any good. I don't like these. Sonic Temples 90s? 94, yeah, fuck this. I don't need the cult. Blue Oyster Cult. See, nobody knows what that is. You can just do cover. You know, those albums aren't known enough. I mean, everybody knows what that name is, but okay. All right, I'll think about this thing and I'll get back. The final boss. Geoffrey Moore made this graph in his work Crossing the Chasm in 1991. It proposes that commercial products mature, users with different behavior and expectations come around. There's 2 holes in the graph. The first group is people who are aspirational and have a high tolerance. You know, this version doesn't really have 2 holes. His real version does. So, well, most people forget the first hole. It's funny, I just looked at the front of his book. He doesn't actually have it there. You think he would. I mean, it doesn't really look like it. But he's the one that talked about the beachhead and stuff like that. Hold on. Does he have another graph? Does he have another version of it? Yeah, you're in. See, I don't think that this really exists. It's really, do people, because there's 2 holes. People, oh, there it is. Some people have read the book closely. Gap and chasm. Somebody has read it closely. Here it is. It's funny, you think that the book, the diagram in front of the book would be closer to this. Can the chasm appear between... Yes, of course it can. Yes, of course it can. Yes, this is all... So, what have you done? Are you actually... No. No, you don't get it. I thought I did. iPhones are not a chasm. Smartphones are. It's a product class, not a product instance. Anyway, so let's just do this. It proposes as commercial products mature, users with different behavior and expectations come around. There's 2 holes in the graph. The first group is people who are aspirational and have a high tolerance for impracticality. They are willing to go the extra mile and make something work. Then there's the smaller hole. In this graph on the right, with electric car adoption in Norway, you can see the small slump, the first circle. The next group is enthusiasts about the possibilities. The group is enthusiastic about the possibilities, but prefer lower effort, time, and expertise cost. Then there's the really big hole. That's the yellow circle in the graph. The next group is the difficult one to reach. They are looking for a working product and don't want to be hassled with inconvenience. Many products don't make it there. This one I should... Yeah, I should modify that and have that be the gap. Oh my god. Have you stopped working? I represent Crossing the Open Source Chasm. The first group are passionate hackers trying to clot the aspirational curve and bring it down to the needs, bugs, and needs. If they can keep the passions going long enough and make sufficient progress, then perhaps the music makers will come around and help recruit more passionate people and to enlarge the base. This is the first pipeline. If the engine between the passion and the enthusiast can be maintained in order to get the problem solution integration wheel, the project can get pulled out of the trunk tar pit, and if the software capability is divided by the effort demanded, yields enough of a utility ratio, then a pragmatist will become interested and the chasm is crossed. But it's important to keep the pipeline well lubricated because you'll be facing new challenges and use cases, and you'll need some of those new users to slide along the responsibility graph in order to grow the coalition as a law of division takes hold. The clarity of the present stands on both the triumph and the wreckage of the past. Why can't you fucking... Why were you slow? Why is there fucking latency? What the hell's going on here? Why is there any latency at all? What the fuck? Oh, it's because of this again. Fucking XNES bug. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Can you not do that? No, just don't. Jesus Christ. Why does that fucking exist? Has anybody ever reported this? XNest is called a modifier key stuck. Yes. No, do not ignore my fucking query, Google. Stop that. Always verbatim. Always. Always. STUCK. What the hell is this shit? Clear mods and clear keys. Oh, that's right. There's this very, very old thing called X keys. No, it's called X app search X keys. X key. It's like X key. No. Apt file search. X key. People are yelling at me right now. Why don't you remember this thing? X keycap. You fucking moron. That's not it. It was like XLED. I remember it. X LED. Oh, fucking. Maybe chat will know it. I'm trying to think of a Linux program in X that shows the current modifier key state. It is something like XKB LED. No, 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 it's a GUI program. No. You fucking moron. XKB, I think it's XKB something. Oh, XKB VLEDs. There it is. So that's... No, it's not actually doing it. Okay, well that's not being useful. It's not showing me this stuff. Actually, it wasn't updating. No. Fuck it. All right. I fucking hate these bugs. And what I need to do is just like stop being frustrated by them and just like crack this thing open. Actually, you know, after I'm done with my talk, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll live stream me fixing these fucking bugs. What's he doing? Oh yeah. The clarity of the present stands on both the triumph and the wreckage of the past. Sometimes for a city to become great, it must first be destroyed so that a new generation can seize a dream and try to execute it better. Failure in the passage of time unbinds us from the commitments and gives us permission to kill our darlings and do a page one rewrite by naturally creating the space for us to try again, but only if we retain the liberties to do so. Here's a few historical examples. Does anybody know what these are? Baird television and early mechanical television, Cook and Wheatstone telegraph, predating Morse code, arithmometer, the first practical office calculator. Each of these devices has a different history, but they affected the same result. The aspirational curve eventually wasn't captured by a particular implementation. Sitting on the left side of the curve, we'd like to intentionally accelerate the social-technical processes, but it's counterintuitive art. Otherwise, it would be easy. Oh, look, it's broken again. It's broken again. It's broken again. I didn't fucking press any of these damn keys. It just adopts it. Strong IP enforcement on strong visions diminishes their chance of success. You must let go of that which you must love the most. You must get the vision right, or the execution or timing or team right, but probably not all at once. Facebook, iPhone, Google, Amazon, they're all iterative executions of larger ideas owned by nobody. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do display equals :1 XEV. And I bet you anything. What? Because if I do Control A, doesn't it show me the keys? Is it the same? Okay, but if I go over here, right, but now if I do this, now it's working. This is batshit. It's absolutely fucking batshit. I didn't do anything. It just decides to and not to work just randomly out of nowhere. I don't know where it fucking gets that idea to. Just, is it still working? Is it still working? Okay. It's still working? Every 2 seconds I have to ask it. It's like the fucking clipboard. You know, I have to like check. Did it go in? Did it go in? Did it go in? Like every fucking time. It's so annoying. So annoying. I need to stop being annoyed by this shit and actually like go in and fix these bugs. Anyway, what's it doing? It pisses me off so much. So whatever you're working on, it will take years to manifest differently than what you thought. Yeah, you're telling me about that shit. You have to not have codependencies with it. Yeah, too bad. They will foster resentment, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Yep. Really, you'll probably become susceptible to the great man theory. Yeah, it's true. If something is dying, maybe that's a fire you need to rebuild things. Yeah, maybe just set this thing on fire. Listen to the needs and desires of the idea. Maybe I should do what I advise. Do one thing and do it well. Work together. Handle tech streams because that's the universal interface. This is actually Unix philosophy by Peter Salas. But I'm serious about it. Good software advice is also good people advice when it building software. Let's go to Tracy Goddard. Soul of a New Machine, 1981. Looking into the VAX, West had imagined he saw a diagram of DEC's corporate organization. He felt that VAX was too complicated. He did not like the system by which various parts of the machine communicated with each other. There was too much protocols involved. He decided that VAX embodied the flaws in DEC's corporate organization. The machine expressed that phenomenally successful company's conscious bureaucratic style. Churchill said, "We shape the buildings and thereafter they shape us." However, our buildings are different because the programmer, like the poet, works only slightly removed from pure thought stuff. He builds his castles in the air, from air, creating by exertion of the imagination, or so says Fred Brooks. Regardless, wrecking balls for code are cheaper than those for concrete, so don't be afraid to use them. Here's another Unix philosophy. This time, let's talk about in terms of people. Make it easy to write, test, and run organizational efforts. Interactive use with humans instead of batch processing. Make do with smaller teams. You need all the engine to get over the chasms and move the projects forward. Organizations which design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of communication structures of those organizations. Melvin Conway, Datamation, April 1967. We studied yesterday to create a better tomorrow. The future is ours to make. Yeah. Fuck all of this. Anyway, I want to just take some time, figure out what the fuck is going on with this fucking thing. Stop all this shit. Let's just open up this fucking application. Are you locked? No, you aren't. Then what the fuck? Why does the key stuck happen? Why do you happen? Where is it that makes this thing happen? So what are the possibilities here for this motherfucker thing to work? Control over to here. Does that do it? No. So Control A would select everything. What about Control over to here? Does that do it? No. What about Control Alt over to here? Does that do it? No. What about if I do this, but then Control focus it like this, and then go into? No. What if I go the other direction, and I have how else would I be able to do this? What if I instead go in here, press the control keys, then click on this thing, move it out, and then therefore release the keys over on this window? No. What if I press the control keys in here, or let's try this. I'm going to go over here, press the control keys, move this out, continue to hold them, go up here, and then release? No. What if I go over here, have multiple windows? I'm going to go over here, release, control in, go out, go all the way out, don't move anything, release again. No. I love fucking how there's no way for me to reproduce this bug. These things are so fucking amazing. Just so great. Sitting here trying to Find every fucking possibility where this happens. Am I sure that that's the bug? Is there any other possibility for this to happen? Any other possible way that could ever fucking happen in a million years? And the answer is probably no. Here, can I just move it back and forth? Would this do it? Would this do it? Just doing this a bunch of times? No. What if I don't know. What about now? I'm just going to do the same process again. No. What the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? I don't get it. I don't understand this shit. What is going on here? It works every time, except when I'm not trying to debug it. Oh my god. It's fucking ridiculous. Jesus Christ. I hate this thing so much. So much. There's no way. Here. Oh, wait a second. Do I have it? Nope. It's fine. Oh, I'm in it. I've got it. I've got it. No, I'm not. I'm not in it at all. No, I'm not in it in the slightest. Oh, no, look at that. A is going up here. That's... What does F do? F is going up. But is that what it always does? No, that's what it always does. Look at that. Yeah, no, I'm not in the slightest. That's just what happens. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Why does this thing only happen? Next time it happens, I'm going to just derail everything and find out what that state is, because there's no way that I can reliably reproduce it. It's fucking ridiculous. Fucking hate all of this stuff. Such shit software. Such trash. Such fucking garbage. I need to be in a better state where I don't hate using everything. Because I think it's such absolute fucking garbage. All this stuff. I mean, I think I got like a bunch of the bugs in Inkscape on video. I think I got a bunch of bugs in GIMP on video. I think I got all of those things on video. Such trash. Don't know how, I mean, that's what I really think about this stuff. This positivism is just a facade. I think it's all complete, utter bullshit. Anyway. Oh yeah, I was at a printer break today, and I had to like reinstall. It's just cups. It just broke right in between the middle of printing two documents. I had like 2 pages to print. I printed one, and then it just said, I can't find a printer anymore. And then I had to like go in there and delete it and put it back in and do all this other crap. And then, now I can see the printer again. Here you are. Like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? How is this shit suck so much? I just want things to work. I just want things to work, I want the clipboard to work. I want window focus to work. I think that's it. I want window focus and clipboard. If I can get those two things working, it's going to be just phenomenal. Just my life would be so much better. At least an order of magnitude. The clipboard worked. And things like this with the fucking control and stuck keys, and everything's focused right. But I can't get it. I can't get the world to work the way that I want it to. It's just not going to happen. Not in my lifetime. I can't get copy and paste to work reliably, ever. I've brought this up a few times. There's 4 clipboards. 4. There's primary, secondary, clipboard, and then there's an application one on top of that. 4. And every application is different. I'll show you how stupid it is. So I type something in over here. And I can highlight it just fine. That's XA primary, right? Which is okay. It's fine. But then, when I go over here and select this thing, you see how that gets selected? It fills up XA primary, and my clipboard's gone. It blows it away every fucking time. So now I go over here. Oh, look. I guess it didn't, but sometimes it does. So, when the JavaScript selects it, it does. But then there's another one. There is this one. Oh, where is it? Fucking. It's X keyboard. No, what the fuck is it? X clipboard. What the fuck is it? Bin clipwatch. No, X. There's X clipboard. There's a way of doing this shit. No. Let me see what I've done over in HAL. Here it is. Yes, I have tools, because it sucks so badly. Here it is, Xclip. Sure. So I can do Xclip primary. Oh, output. And then I could do clipboard, which is... Oh, that's right. This is a unified one. So what I have is I've got this unifier on this. So in here, it's auto cut cell. No, there's 4 actually. The problem with auto cut cell is maybe this. I don't think so. Details of the parameter unknown. Oh, fantastic. So glad. What if I do this? Am I running 2 of them, really? I could be. I'm running 2. Because why the fuck not? I think one of them goes down and one of them comes up. Let's just try this. Okay. Okay. But you don't want to use primary. Primary is way too fragile. It sucks. There. So now we're all using primary, and secondary doesn't matter. Which is a pain in the ass, because it means that if I want to do, let's say, this, then go over here to something. That's that. Yeah. Right, but right. See, this one doesn't have a way to do the primary. So over to HAL, I've got that. You do it through some kind of... So there's 2 ways of fixing this. There's a few ways. First one is to stop using xterm. That would actually probably fix everything. Stop insisting on xterm, because xterm is where the primary bug is. If I... So, I've gone over this before. Is really what I want to have. Is I want to have an xterm replacement that is kind of like xterm, but it looks nice and it doesn't suck. So there's a bunch of terminals out there. I've gone over them, but I keep coming back to this one. I think I've tried Kitty before, or maybe not in this machine. But I keep going back. And maybe what I need to do is just say fuck off to xterm. This is not something I had a problem with. I mean, it's only something I've had a problem with, like, okay, so here. So what happens here? Now what's my buffer? Primary. Okay, and now what's clipboard? Okay. Now, a man alacrity. Oh my god, it's not even documented. Yeah, here's the other thing, is that these things, they don't actually fucking fix the problem. Oh my god, how do I increase the font size? Control Shift equal. Okay, you're doing it like Plan 9 does. You have toggle full screen built into the actual application. That is crazy. Oh, look at this. Copy to clipboard. So, what does that mean? Let me go inside of Kitty again. Does it remember? No, it has no idea. You have to do it every fucking time. Which probably is a setting default. So I could do Let's try this. If I go over here, and if I do clipboard, right, clipboard. In fact, I want to do watch. I think I can just do this. No, that's not going to work. It needs to be something like this. What? Oh, that's fine. Cool. So what I want to do now is that here's the two clipboards. So if I go over here, if I do this, that's primary. If I do Control C, there, that's secondary. So really it's this. Oh, right, new line. Like the cinema company. Oh, you fucker with E. Oh, not built in. Oh, you fucker. That should have been fine. Oh, I know it. There's another way of doing this. Echo. All right. So what else was I doing? Oh, yeah. So this one I can do copy Control Shift C. That's the one I hadn't shown you. It doesn't. Oh, that does enter the. So maybe this still enters primary, which is fine. On the idea that I want to basically ignore primary and always use secondary. Which is a policy I've tried before, but for some reason it's broken, and I don't remember why. Maybe it's just a pattern, and I need to like teach myself to do it again. Let me try. Let me see this thing. Let me try this a little bit more. What I end up doing is I end up just having different configurations in all my fucking things. Oh, kitty.conf. Yeah, man, kitty.conf. Where? Oh, how nice. Where does this go? Oh my god, you're not going to tell me where it is, are you? Oh, config. Oh my god. No. Do I have to like strace it to figure it out? XDG config home. It's going to be this one. See, I've already done like. Yeah, I'm breaking my rule already. I need to be. This is the same thing I talked about, how I have like 3 systems that are done in 3 different orders. So really what I need to do is have one fucking configuration file that's consistent across all these damn machines. So I need like scp how.local x resources dot and like not. And that, so that is this. And essentially what I'm doing here is that if I do this, I think that what happened? Okay, so now we have that in both. We have that in both. That's what happens. But that's done exclusively through resources. Now, this one right here. So it's this. These overrides. Because, like, if I... And this fucking bug. I fucking hate it so much. If I am expecting to... consistency, I think I need between all the machines. Like, that's big. Maybe... See, I don't want to have NFS home directories. Because if that fails, then you're fucked. Maybe I should. Just try it out. Sure, should try it out. But I've got some... Maybe what I really need is just for a number of resources. Have the same configurations. It's like the .config directories. That would resolve issues of like me opening up GIMP and Inkscape and all these things and like seeing like a different fucking set of cursors and icons in every fucking machine that I go on. And being like, what the hell? This is ridiculous. So I'm already doing backups. So I have RAID backups, hosts. And if you see right, why does it say that? Foucault. Cat last backup, February 14th. Oh no, that Foucault is fine. That's Habermas. Yeah, that's good. Foucault is a laptop. Is that old laptop that I haven't opened up in a long time. In fact, I got a hard drive for it to replace the currently failing one a month ago, but I haven't actually done it. I haven't copied all the contents. I should do that. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so as part of the backup, I could have a single point of reference for things like configs, which has all of this crap in there, as you can see, right? As long as it doesn't have caches or things that I'm currently working on with a machine. I think that's cache. No. It's not there. I think that's local, actually. Right? No, where is this thing stored? I don't know. But then I can have consistency, at least, between the machines. Because I think that some of it is that I have different patterns when I sit down at a different machine. Because it looks almost the same. But it's not. At all the same. It's got to be a little bit more sophisticated than that. Because if I change something, I don't want it to like blow it away and revert to something. Yeah, it's got to be something like Git with like CI/CD or something like that. Fucking, I don't want to do any of that shit. I don't know. I just want consistency. I'm okay. Maybe what I need is I can have a different then it's gotta be Git. It's gotta be Git. Solves all the problems I'm thinking of. I don't know. I'll think about it. So many things I gotta think about. It's 1:20 in the morning. Fucking hate all this stuff so much. Is this thing broken? It probably is. No, it's working fine. Of course it's working fine. It only breaks when I need it to work. It only works when I need it to break. Like all software on the planet. I should stop this. I'm so fucking pissed off at the world.